Astrology, the belief that the positions of celestial bodies can influence our lives, has fascinated people for centuries. But how does it actually work, and can it be understood through the lens of mathematics? While astrology and science don't always see eye to eye, there is an interesting connection between astrology and the mathematical concept of patterns. Let's explore how astrology uses patterns and why this resonates with us, all through a mathematician's perspective. Understanding patterns in astrology. At its core, astrology is all about patterns. It involves observing the positions of the planets, the sun, and the moon at the time of a person's birth and using these positions to make predictions about their personality, behavior, and future. In mathematics, patterns are sequences or arrangements that follow a specific rule or formula. For example, the Fibonacci sequence 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13 is a pattern where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones. Similarly, astrology looks for patterns in the way celestial bodies move and align, and it associates these patterns with human traits and events. The Zodiac and mathematical patterns. The Zodiac, which is divided into 12 signs, is one of the most recognizable patterns in astrology. Each sign corresponds to a 30-degree segment of the 360-degree circle that the Earth travels around the Sun. These signs are associated with specific personality traits and tendencies. From a mathematical perspective, dividing a circle into equal parts and assigning meaning to each part is a classic example of using geometry to create a pattern. Astrologers then look for patterns in the movement of planets within these segments, believing that these movements influence our lives. For instance, if a planet like Mercury is in retrograde, appearing to move backward in the sky, astrologers may predict communication issues or disruptions, based on observed patterns of behavior during previous retrograde periods. Why do we find patterns so compelling? Humans are naturally drawn to patterns. Our brains are wired to look for order in the world around us, and this is where astrology becomes appealing. When we see repeating patterns, whether in numbers, shapes, or celestial movements, we often try to find meaning in them. This is similar to how we use patterns in math to predict outcomes or solve problems. For example, if you know the pattern in a sequence of numbers, you can predict the next number. Similarly, astrology uses patterns in the sky to make predictions about our lives. The mathematics of probability in astrology. While astrology relies heavily on patterns, it's important to understand that these patterns are not scientifically proven to influence our lives. From a mathematical standpoint, the predictions made by astrology can be compared to probabilities. For example, if someone reads their horoscope and it says they'll have a good day, and they do, they might believe in astrology. However, from a probabilistic point of view, there's always a chance that they would have had a good day regardless of the horoscope. It's similar to flipping a coin, sometimes it lands heads, and sometimes it lands tails. The interesting thing about astrology is that it often uses broad, general predictions that can apply to many people, which increases the likelihood that someone will find it accurate. This is known as the Barnum effect, where people see vague statements as highly personal. The balance between patterns and reality. In the end, astrology is a mix of pattern recognition and human psychology. While the patterns in the sky are real and can be mathematically defined, whether or not these patterns influence our lives is up to interpretation. As mathematicians, we respect patterns because they help us understand and predict the world. However, it's essential to approach astrology with a critical mind, recognizing the difference between finding patterns and assigning meaning to them without scientific evidence. Astrology and mathematics share a fascination with patterns, but they use them in very different ways. While astrology uses celestial patterns to make predictions about our lives, mathematics relies on patterns to explain and predict natural phenomena with precision.